Hi, we are here today to talk about branded content and a topic that sometimes rises when we're working with advertisers, and that's how do you handle a single story campaign? Clearly, we always like it when we're doing branded content if we're able to have a multi-month campaign, but that's not always the case when somebody decides to buy a branded content story. Sometimes that can happen if you're doing like a best of campaign and, or best of contest and somebody buys a single story, off of that. So we want to talk a little bit about when that happens, how do you sort of like kind of craft the story and what to do next. So Tara, when you get a campaign that comes in, it's just one story that somebody wants to do, they're not doing 3 or 6 months. How do you kind of think through what that story should be with the advertiser?
Yeah, so I think for kind of that first story or the one story, I guess, I always try to keep it very high level. So in terms of kind of like a profile, in terms of who they are, what services they may offer, anything they may sell, because oddly, it's very likely that you're going to find additional stories that they can always go back to, go back to the salesperson and they can potentially upsell or add any packages on. That could be a really great way to kind of extend it, is if you're staying focused on the high level elements and maybe mentioning some of the things that you could potentially break down into, but kind of leaving that room to where a follow-up story could do a really nice job.
Yeah, so I think, this is a case where when you have a story, like a single story, there can be like multiple, like another, like a layer to that story. There's like a breakout box or the bottom that can also, just an example, I was talking to an advertiser today, and they wanted to do like kind of like a step-by-step process for the product that they had. And we decided to make that not the core focus of the article, but actually the bottom of the article. And we're able to focus on like 5 interesting things that they're able to kind of bring to the table. So it's a way of like doing a profile without doing like, a long narrative style profile, but still actually accomplishing what they wanted, which was sort of this like sharing our process. But it still allowed us to, I think when the story is done, it'll perform well, and it's going to allow us to probably extend them, or at least have an opportunity to extend them, because we didn't try to like hit 3 or 5 different topics into the single article. You get in these calls sometimes with advertisers, and they're like, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and you have to like pick a thing. And that if you only pick one thing, that may not like suffice, but that you can kind of like hear them and be there where they want to be in a way, which is like get that layer in there. And then, but also sets you up to be able to, when you get to like, after that story's over, hey, here are like 3 or 4 ideas that came out of that first conversation we had. And here's what we can kind of do with it. I think that's a good way of potentially kind of approaching it.
Yeah, and as a writer, a lot of the times what I find is that as you're kind of in there working on stuff, like you mentioned, they've got 5 things they want to cram into an article, but it really only like 2 or 3 kind of make the article work. So you can actually kind of see maybe stuff that they didn't see of how this stuff connects, and you can kind of connect those pieces as well too, and then also find stuff that relates to some of the other topics that they want to talk about on their website or through interviews that would actually make for another complete story.
That's great. Well, we'd love to be able to share more of these insights with you, and love to tell you about more of the work that we're doing with clients all over the country. Tara is our branded content genius who figures this out with clients all the time. Love the chance to kind of connect with people. So Tara, thanks for your valuable insights here, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Thank you.
Thank you.